Ever wondered where to get started with EQ? Ever listened to an instrument and thought, man, I just don't know what to do with that? Have you ever considered using the EQ presets on the mixer? Hey, I'm Andrew and welcome to Offshore Audio. This is the channel where we're bringing you tips and tricks to mix better live events. In this video, we're going to take a look at what different EQ presets look for a bunch of different sound sources. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to look at getting the most out of EQ presets that are loaded onto your mixer already. I'll show you how to load them up on an M32 mixer. And finally, I'll show you how to create your own presets and how to use them really quickly and effectively when mixing, even if you're a beginner. But before we get into that, I want to give you a head start on your EQ. If you head to offshoreaudio.no/EQ, you're going to find my 3-step formula for great EQ every time. This is just a short PDF document that gives you my formula for EQing absolutely everything as quickly as possible and getting it sounding great. But without further ado, let's dive into the video. So let's just start by looking at a few of these EQ presets, right? I'll fire up a bass EQ preset and we can have a look at that. So there's a little low end roll off, presumably to make space for a kick drum. There's a big wide boost to give it that thick sound. There's a little bit of a cut to reduce muddiness. And there's a little bit of a boost to give it that kind of snap, the string sound cut through. And then we're rolling off the high frequencies because there's usually not really much up there on a bass guitar, and you're probably just picking up noise from the system and the cables. Let's look at another one. This is just the roll off and the low boost on this one. Let's have a look at a guitar one then. So in this guitar preset, there's just low end roll off and then boost, boost, boost everywhere, right? And the next one's very similar. I'm not really sure what they're going for here. And this drum room preset has some notches, presumably for the room that they recorded it in, which doesn't make a lot of sense when loading a preset. So there's a lot of presets, as you can see, and they're doing quite a lot, which is a bit much if you ask me. So that brings us on to our next point, which is the problem with presets. The presets in this console are completely uninformed, right? They're doing lots of cuts and lots of boosts, but they don't know anything about your situation. They don't know anything about the actual physical instrument. Although you can choose to load a preset for a bass, they don't know how long that instrument is, what wood it is made of, what type of strings are on it, how the player is playing it. Is it a microphone? Is it an active DI? Is it a passive DI? There are so many unanswered questions here. The EQ does not have enough information to make the decisions that have been made and saved. And think about that guitar preset. There was all sorts of boosts everywhere. Every guitar, amplifier, and player sounds completely different. You don't have to do this for a long time before you realize that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. That drum room was notching out problem frequencies, but presumably that was for a recording situation, and that room is not your room. The point that I'm trying to make is that factory presets on your mixer are a lovely idea to get you started and get you going, but they don't know enough about your situation to be useful. That doesn't mean that the feature of presets itself is useless, far from it, but I'm advocating for a different approach. I want you to create your own presets and use these presets as a guide and then know how to use your own ones. So what makes a preset useless or usable? A big no-no for me is any big EQ move that cannot be justified. So if you look at that bass preset, it's rolling off some of the low end, which might be a bit of a catch-all situation, but the rest of it is pure speculation. What you can get from these presets though are ideas. If you listen and your bass is sounding muddy, maybe a cut in that region that is suggested will help reduce that muddiness. And if it's lacking definition and not cutting through properly, perhaps a boost in the region that was boosted might be helpful. Similarly, if you look at the floor tom, it's telling us perhaps that we don't need that big oomph in the low end, we don't really need the sub-sub. And also that perhaps it's likely to find some boominess in that low mid region, but nothing is a given. If and when you do load up a preset on the mixer, consider resetting all the gain and then using the bands and the frequencies and the cues as suggestions of something you might want to act upon. Try boosting and cutting and listening to hear what difference that makes. Let's have a look on the mixer and find out more. Okay, so let me just show you quickly how you get these up and running on an M32. It's really, really easy, right? You just select your channel that you want to apply the preset to, and you press utility. And then this brings you into, your utility options. You where you can load presets, save presets, delete, copy, and paste presets from channels. And up here in the presets, it shows you whether it's applying to head amp gain, delay times, filters, EQs, gating, that sort of thing, just with these little icons here. But we're just focusing on the EQ for this video. Be aware though that some of these presets that you load will affect other parts of your signal chain. So, if we've got this bass like we talked about, we just select the one. We use this scroll, the second dial here, to select which one we would like. I'm going to go for this first one because it doesn't have any kind of dynamics on it. And then I just click to load the preset, load preset to current channel. That's great. And you can see now that it has applied this curve to the bass EQ, and it's also labeled the channel bass. Now, if you wanted to, for example, only take the EQ from it, you could select the channel and then press view on the EQ section. Now, when you press utility, you can load a preset. And if I click load preset now on this, it loads the EQ preset, but you see that it has not changed the channel name. So what do we learn from this? If we're on home and we select our channel, go to utility, find our preset and load it, it will load all the parameters: gain, filters, EQ, gating, the other dynamics processing. So if you don't want that, you just select the area that you want to apply the preset to. For example, you select EQ in this case. You might select dynamics or gate, but we were talking about EQ. So you select EQ and then you apply that preset. Now here is my advice to you on using these presets, right? Decide what you're going to work on, something like EQ. Select your channel, select the EQ, and then press utility to open the presets. And then you can load the presets in, and you'll see that it applies this, as I said earlier. Now, what I want you to do is go through each of the bands and reset the EQ gain on each band to 0. Or in the case of this filter, I want you to roll it all the way up to the top again. Now, why do I want you to do this? I want you to listen to the sound before you make any decisions about how you're going to EQ this. And you can use the preset as a guide to what you might do to it. So if you listen to the bass, start with your bass frequencies and decide, do I want to boost or cut the bass frequencies? And use the frequency and the band that has been suggested as your guide, right? And now you only have one choice to make. You select your low frequency again, and you turn it up or down, and you listen to what that's done. Similarly, ask yourself, those low mids, do you want to increase or decrease them? Turn them up or down? And have a listen to what happens when you do that, and ask yourself, is it better or is it worse? Same with your high mids, and same with your high band that's been suggested as a high cut. Roll that down and ask yourself, is this making it better or is this making it worse? But something I find far more useful than this is to make our own presets. Because if you're working with the same sort of instruments regularly, you will build up a sort of internal library of the EQ moves that you are likely to make. In that case, you can save your own presets where you know that your bands should be in certain areas, and you just want to fire that up and then get to work. So have a think about what the presets that were loaded in were trying to do. I'll load this preset up again. And you can see here that it was trying to give a little oomph in the bass, produce some sort of muddiness maybe here, give a bit of attack, and then roll off the high end that we don't need. So once again, we're going to reset our gain, and now we're going to create our own preset. After you've worked for a little while, you might start thinking, hey, I'm always high passing, or I'm always low passing my bass at least 10K. So you might decide to leave that 10K in there. And in that case, you can leave it just in here a little. And once you're ready, you've reset your bands, but you have the rough Q and frequency set, you can go to utility, and then you just scroll down, because there are a lot of presets, but if you scroll all the way down, you'll find empty zones here. And I've got a few here that I have loaded in this mixer. So scroll all the way down and you hit save, and then you can enter the name in. So we're just going to call this bass, B for short. And we click to save that, press confirm into 85. Now we select our new channel, right? So think, now we're back, next show, and we've got another bass. It's a new bassist, new bass guitar. So everything has changed, but some of our principles remain, and we know that we want to get to work quickly on that bass. So once we've gained it up, we'll select our channel, go to utility, scroll down to find our bass preset that we like to start from, and then we will load that preset. And you can see here now in the EQ, it's drawn in our low pass filter that we decided we quite like. And the bands and the Q are set. So when we want to add or remove from our low bass, we can just turn the gain. And similarly, our low mids, we just alter the gain, same with the high mids. So let's sum it up. Presets are great. Factory presets are perhaps not so great. Always use your ears and think about the situation, because it's what you send into the mixer that determines how you act with your EQ. So consider creating your own presets. Also consider learning more about how to EQ if you're not sure how to do that. You can head to offshoreaudio.no/EQ or check the link down in the description to get my 3-step guide to better EQ. And that'll help you build a foundation which you can then use to create your own presets. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. That's always very helpful to me. For now, thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.